transforming evidence into practice. That means a focus on promoting evidence-based health policies and decisions globally. And we have more than 80 interviews lined up for you on Union Live across the next 4 days. And the first of those interviews is with Rhea Lobo, a name well known in TB, and the woman who'll be launching this year's conference in the opening session, coming up at 8:30 this morning. And I managed to catch up with Rhea earlier on. Well, welcome, Rhea, to Union Live. Now, Rhea, I know you lead communication and engagement at the Union conference, but why did you get involved in the Union in the first place?
That's a really interesting story, Nadine. I actually, I got tuberculosis myself. I had an experience of contracting TB when I lived in India, and I was one of those people who never thought TB even existed anymore. You didn't really hear much about it in the media back then, and I suffered tremendously through my experience with TB. I went through 3 surgeries over a span of 6 months. I was misdiagnosed at the first go because we had outdated diagnostic machinery at the time. I was given the wrong dosage of medicines, all this while running the risk of getting drug resistant. And I was just really shocked with what I saw. I really wanted to do something about it. I actually reached out to the Union on social media. I found them on Facebook, and I was like, hey, you know, I'm a TB survivor, and I really want to do something to help in the fight to end TB. So if you need my help with anything, with counseling people who have TB or anything of that sort, please reach out to me. And I also made a couple of films on my experience with TB, and they got some recognition in India and abroad. And that's how I got into TB, and I got into the Union. I think the Union took me in their fold. They helped me address a number of events, and that's how I got completely into the scene.
Wow, what a story, and I'm so pleased that you survived that, but be able to put all that experience to good use now. Now, the Union has an amazing history, doesn't it? Formed in 1920, but what is the mission of the Union?
So this is interesting because the Union, as an organization, was founded to create a healthier world for all, free of tuberculosis and lung disease. And the way we do that is by ensuring that we take all this information and generate all this evidence and transform it into action and into policy. And that essentially is really what our theme is for the conference as well. And so Union is a very unique organization in so many ways, because it sort of brings together scientific information and knowledge and takes all stakeholders into consideration and brings them all together to sort of do something about ending TB. And I don't think there's any other organization like the Union that exists in the world.
And its membership is quite extraordinary. It's made up of individuals and organizations from around the world. So just tell us a little bit about that.
So that's the best thing about the Union is, you can be anybody who has interest in ending TB and join the Union. It is, you can be a researcher, you can be a scientist, you can be a person like me who's a TB survivor, you can be civil society, you can be a policymaker, you can be a member of parliament. The Union encourages people to, who are passionate about ending TB and ending the suffering from lung disease. And it's just a very inclusive organization in that way. And I think that really is the best part about the Union. We just welcome anybody who...
Welcome anybody and everybody. Sounds amazing, doesn't it? And what is so important about the Union? It might seem like an obvious question, but why is it so important, and what difference does it really make?
So for over 100 years, the Union has been organizing the World Conference on Lung Health. And it brings together key stakeholders from all over the world under one space to talk about how we're going to end lung diseases in the world. And it's just the collaboration between the global north and the global south, giving a space for everyone to speak, to share their ideas, to share their research, to share their findings, and ensure that it reaches spaces where a difference can be made with that research. I think the Union conference itself We've had this amazing amount of news that has come out of the conference over the years, and that has made the lives of many people like me much easier. Things like shorter drug regimens, better diagnostic machinery, so that we can diagnose TB very quickly, and how we can prevent TB very quickly. These are all these scientific advancements that get released at the conference, and it's very exciting for someone like me who's just like, it makes us feel like, okay, we're getting closer to the fight in ending TB.
And thinking about the theme for 2023, which is transforming evidence into practice. So it sounds as though implementation of the latest scientific research is going to be the key focus this week.
I think that's something that we've, as a community, really struggled with. While we have this great research that comes out at the conference, it takes time for policymakers to pick that up and implement it in their countries. And by the time they actually do that, you're just like, okay, it's been so many years now, and there's new research, and so I think we need to do better as a TB community as a whole, to sort of take these advances, implement them, so that people can get cured faster. They can prevent TB to begin with. For example, we're still using a 100-year-old vaccine to prevent TB. That's just ridiculous, right? And so we need to sort of ensure that all the research that comes out is implemented and is sort of making a difference in our societies. And
why is TB still the most common infectious disease in the world? And I'm talking about with children and adults.
Yeah, Nadine, not many people like to hear this, but I'm going to be really honest with you. TB is a disease that affects the developing world. At the end of the day, in 2020, when COVID-19 hit the world, at its peak, it killed 1.7 million people that year. TB in the same year killed 1.5 million people, both infectious killers, but one getting a lot more attention than the other. TB has always been looked at as an old disease, a boring disease. It's not really that sexy. So people think that, we can just pretend it never happened, just ignore it. And I think we really need to come together as a global community in solidarity for people who've had TB and who have TB, because this disease does not deserve to exist in this world. It's almost like, how can we allow the leading infectious killer in the world, which is preventable and curable, to even exist?
So it sounds as though there's been a bit of complacency, thinking that TB was a problem that was going away, but it's come back again. And actually, it's something that we'll be discussing a lot on Union Live over the coming days. And I know the Union has a history, doesn't it, of innovation, solutions and support to address health challenges, particularly in low and middle income countries. The goal really is to bring TB to an end. So what needs to happen to make that a reality?
The first thing that needs to happen, Nadine, is we need political will. Without political will, we're not going to get anywhere. We have these amazing researchers who need to be funded to ensure that their research is taken, so that they can do their work to begin with, and they can come up with this amazing research. We need to ensure we fund communities, because it's crucial that communities lead the response. At the end of the day, a person who has had TB is an expert in his or her own right. They know what it's like to have the disease. They know what they want. They know what they don't want. And it's important that we actually go and ask people from the community, how can we do better? And I think they need to be empowered, they need to be funded, they need to be ensured that they have equal stake on the table, and that's something that definitely needs to be done. I think we need to do better in terms of bureaucratic processes. Like if we want to convert and transform evidence into practice, we need to ensure that governments are committed in doing that. We need to ensure that, our voices are louder and as loud as it can be, because, to see, I don't know if you've ever seen, Nadine, but when a child gets TB, a few years ago, they were given these pills, these adult pills, and they were manually crushed, because and they were just given the medicines, in powder form, and there was no sort of standardization. They were just given some medicine, because there was no drug formulations for children, and stuff like that has come out in the conference, where we have drug formulations for children, pills that they can take in easily, and that kind of thing. And there's no point of having this if it's not being implemented. So, and I think it's really important that we as a global community raise our voices, ensure there is political will, and we do better in ensuring we end TB, because I truly believe we can end it by 2030. We just need to push it.
Yeah, it's an ambitious target now, particularly because of COVID. So it's interesting how you're positive about ending TB in 2030. So looking at the Union Conference and the week ahead, what are you most looking forward to here in Paris?
Well, I'm looking forward to meeting my people, as in it's been 3 years of being virtual, and this week I'm going to be meeting a lot of people I've not met in the past 3-4 years, and it's very exciting to see familiar faces, to network, to learn from other people. I think every time I come to the Union Conference, I go back feeling richer in knowledge, have richer friendships, which sort of take me through the year. And again, I meet them the following year at the Union Conference. And it's just an amazing community. It's a strong community that supports each other. And it's just amazing to see the kind of people the Union Conference brings together and the kind of change that can happen at the conference.
And it's great that it's back face-to-face, like you said, after 3 years. Rhea, it's been fantastic to talk to you. Have an amazing conference this week in Paris.
Thank you, Nadine, for your passion. Thank you for your wonderful hosting. It's amazing to be here.
Thank you.
Well, it was fantastic catching up with Rhea, and I know she's going to be incredibly busy over the next few days. And in fact, we're just a few minutes away now from that opening session where I'll be joining Rhea on the plenary stage. So I better get across there now. But do stay with us here on Union Live for that.